Addie Singer's gonna go down in Rocky Road Middle School history as nothing more than the girl who tooted in English.
The third season of Unfabulous is when it all takes a spin for the worse, or the better, depending on how you look at it. The first episode of season 3 is called The Toot, and it's actually starting off pretty clever. The first cold open talks about how we're taking a look at 8th grade Addie, the final year of middle school. After that new special at the end of season 2 where her and Jake Bahari kissed, it's official they're dating this time, so no more music in the dark about this guy. Hopefully less creepiness all around. So usually in these cold opens, it's Addie showing a moment that happens like later in the episode or like a really dramatic experience and then takes you back to reality. But she teaches us that this is her new reality. She is actually in fact dating Jake Bahari. As Gina says, this puts her in the popular group for the rest of the year. Oh my gosh, that's actually kind of cool. We finally get a look into Zach's relationship a little bit more than we used to with his older girlfriend now going into high school. Oh my gosh, what a stereotypical situation where like you're dating somebody that they're about to go to high school and you have to make that work. I don't know why, it's kind of dramatic. We have a new teacher this year and she's actually really nice. She takes a liking to Addie pretty quickly while already not liking Maris and Cranberry, which is a good sign. I like this new teacher.
I'm Ms. Best, your worst nightmare. Unless, of course, you participate and try your darndest.
Addie's mentality is the driving force of this episode. She's just like, nothing can ruin this experience. But then she's like, oh, but at the same time, something good. And it's like that whole like self-sabotage that really drives this episode specifically. Meanwhile, the B-plot is less interesting. We're following Addie's brother, which always feels like not as interesting as the main plot. I feel like they don't work it into what's going on with Addie at all, so it doesn't seem important. And it's about him and the girl he used to like that also works at Juice with him. They're both looking into colleges, and they have this contest that whoever gets into this one specific college first wins the bet, and I don't know what that's about. I guess they're flirting still.
How exactly are you planning on getting to a women's only college?
Never underestimate the Ben Singer charm, Jen.
She sings Things Are Finally Going My Way, which is interesting because I feel like she's sung a different iteration of this song before, but hey, it's good. An entire film crew there to record Maris, which is actually really creepy. She's an 8th grade girl. It's for an up-and-coming network, which that doesn't make any sense. Why would a network be up-and-coming? The kid that used to assist the principal, you know, that right-hand man, that kid, yeah, he is replaced with this new kid who actually is in Hannah Montana later. He looks exactly like Mary's boyfriend, so it's kind of weird that they just have all these tall, lanky guys going throughout Addie's school. I don't know, weird conflict of interest. This reality show actually comes into play because Addie accidentally farts during one of her presentations with this new teacher, and this is the exact thing she was worried about, having something to mess up her good streak. And yeah, because they had a whole camera crew there, everybody got this on video. So next thing you know, Addie is known around school as the girl who toots, and oh my gosh, can you imagine something more embarrassing? I couldn't.
I admit the deed! I admit the deed!
Yeah, she has this fantasy that Jake is gonna break up with her or like become completely incapacitated because of the news. I don't know how that would happen, but okay, it's Addie's experience. So Addie excuses this whole situation as her shoe making a squeak, a suggestion by Gina, which is actually pretty smart until the fact that nobody really believes it. When Jake hears this, that it wasn't actually a fart, he's like not super supportive. He's like, oh, okay, I thought that was a fart. And I don't know what to make of this guy. But he gets caught for lying because of Maris's game show, and it just sucks that everything's like working against her, but sometimes it's just how life is. Jake gives her a pep talk, and this actually solidifies his character for me because he is caring. Like, he doesn't care that she farted. He said, just go up and be yourself. Nobody will care. And Addie has this like really bad outfit to hide her shame, and I don't know why. It's just obviously that's her.
I tooted! I admit the deed! I admit the deed!
In Ben's plot, it gets really ridiculous. Like, he keeps trying to woo over this college, even showing up to the college fair in a full-on girl's outfit, which didn't need to be necessary to get into the college.
Are you crazy?
Like a fox? Or should I say, foxy mama?
Yeah, this part almost didn't make sense to me, but whatever. Addie's dad gives her the best advice, and she's just like, okay, once something new comes along, then all of this will blow over, which is actually pretty good advice. Addie listens to it, and it's just funny to think that the mom was like, I can't give you advice on this, but your dad can. Like, it's just farting, guys. By the end, they look at the reality TV show footage and catch Maris picking her nose, which is just as much, if not more, embarrassing, so that kind of covers Addie's tracks, and that's how the positive episode ends. The around good episode about like being worried about something being taken away out of portion and just to like relax and not let it bother you, especially with the first day of 8th grade. We learned a lot more about Jake Bahari, which has actually got me on his side more. He gave her a lot of good pep talks this episode, which is what a boyfriend should be doing. Just anything but being toxic is a-okay for me. Good start to a final season already. The next episode is even cooler. It actually goes back to Addie's music skills, which I appreciate. It's called The Song. And in this episode, basically, Addie wants to submit a personal song to this famous singer, Hottie McSomething. I don't know. It's something really generic and weird. And yet, Jake is totally cool with it. It's funny because Zach is like, you have to admit, like, as a guy, you'd be like a little jealous that she's even trying to do this.
Gina, I'm a guy. I can smell fake macho a mile away. You feel threatened by Rob Hottie?
So Jake takes the hint and actually goes full on supportive of whatever she does, which is really sweet. The entire school is like all trying to be a part of this competition, which I find ridiculous considering Addie's the only one who devotes herself to making music, but hey, what can I say? I'm biased too. Yeah, so the school is pretty much transformed into now a performing arts school, like Victorious of some sort. The cold open is all about trust, and I'm still like confused at how that weaves into the plot of this one. Maybe it's because of Jake Bahari, but yeah, he's starting to get more nervous now that people are actually asking about how nervous he is. And yeah, he's just supportive. He actually listens to her song and is really on her side about everything. So far, this relationship is just positive. He tells him she wrote it singing in the shower, which sounds kind of irrelevant, but it actually comes up later in the episode. Meanwhile, Zach finally gets a plot where he learns his girlfriend has been hanging out with Ben, which is kind of random and definitely suspicious to me. By the way, you're in 8th grade and your girlfriend's in high school. I'm very worried about it too. Like, that is such a weird scenario that I do not think will work out, but hey, what can I say? So yeah, the second part of this episode is Ben and Zach working together to see if they could catch his girlfriend trying to like be with him, and that's a pretty interesting scenario. Addie's story takes a bit of a plot twist when she submits her song and ends up being the most popular one for the McHottie guy, and he's like, oh sure, I gotta find her, and it becomes like a Cinderella story situation because she didn't write her name on the track. Oh come on, Addie, real mature. Starts this new search with him trying to figure out who wrote that song. She finds out the next day on TV, and I'm kind of finding it hard to believe that he would have filmed this promo within 5 minutes of figuring out that he doesn't know who the girl is. Like, this is so ridiculous. So next thing you know, there's this talent search going on nearby, and everybody's claiming to be the writer of this song, making it so much harder for Addie to prove that she's the one who wrote it. And you get anxiety for this episode because it's like, obviously you want her to be the one to be recognized for all this situation, but she's not. They don't believe it's her until she gets up and starts singing. But hey, that all seems to be perfect until she has a vision of Jake beating up the hottie guy. Oh my gosh. So now Addie's having these like really anxiety-driven fantasies that are just not true and make her actually ruin her chances of proving she wrote the song. So yeah, Jake's relationship somehow interfered, but not in a way that he tried or she tried. We find out that he is actually a little bit jealous, but he's good at dealing with it, honestly. Not the way Zach is. Zach is keeping an eye on his girlfriend very closely, with an eye on Ben too. And Ben's just trying to help out, but he seems to be very insistent that Ben's not doing it right. Yeah, so Addie's convinced that maybe Jake is the reason this guy never knew who wrote the song to begin with, and Jake is kind of upset that she would accuse him of that, which, true, I would be too. And they fight about trust, and that's why it makes sense that it was in the cold open, Addie talking about who she trusts and why she trusts them. And it's cool that she feels confident enough to address this. I feel like a year ago, Addie would have been so fawning over him that like this wouldn't even be a concept. You know, working in a relationship together, actually figuring out how you work as a team, it's very interesting and actually does replicate the 8th grade experience. I remember when I was dating in 8th grade, it was definitely like confusing to talk to another person, learn that everybody had different beliefs, especially in such like a close relational way. You know, like what a different world we are in now that relationships have evolved. Jake makes up for it in like a really good way, honestly. So he gets this producer to come with him to hear Addie singing in the shower from the window. Creepy as heck. I don't know how he thought he could get away with this, or this was an appropriate situation. Yeah, I feel like there's better ways to go about it. If he was willing to get in a tree with Jake, I don't know why he couldn't have heard it in any other way. Like, this is crazy. But hey, it's still a sweet thing to do. Definitely resolves the disagreement between the two, like resolving the trust, which I find really sweet. I don't think he had to do this. And of course, Zach gets caught red-handed. He dresses Jamaican and spies on Ben and his girlfriend's date.
Can I take your order?
Mr. Ma.
And she's like really upset, but hey, I'm a little upset too. She said yes to everything Ben said. Is this not cheating or what? There better be like an explanation to this. So I've assumed Zach and his girlfriend broke up because it seems like they did, and Gina says that maybe he should learn to trust the girlfriend and she wouldn't have gone on a date with somebody else. That is victim blaming if I've ever heard it. I don't think that's fair, Gina, to be like, that's the reason. Turns out that Addie's experience isn't what she expected it to be, so it's just this awkward performance dressed as fries for a commercial. Like, that's as far as it got. Kind of crazy that that's all it ended up being, but hey, good episode all around. The next episode's actually a really interesting one where we get invited into some backstory that we never probably knew. It's called The New Best Friend, and it's about this girl named Jolene. Addie was friends with a girl named Jolene when she was involved in all those extracurricular stuff in the first couple seasons, like being in a band, being in the talent show. Like, apparently Jolene was always there, just Addie never noticed her, and it kind of makes Addie look like a villain. And that's gonna be like how you feel for the rest of the episode, because she seems like she's coming from pretty bad intentions, which is interesting because she does that in the first couple seasons, but it's more relational based, like about Jake Bahari or something. So seeing it actually be about a friend is kind of interesting. The entire episode starts off on a really confusing note as Addie's in boarding school, and you're really wondering how she got there. Like, what a crazy world to like flip on its head. Jolene's showing up to the school and basically ready to be friends with Addie and her group, but she's really annoying, overbearing, and just wants to be around Addie all the time.
Addie girl and I are super duper good friends. I was Addie's bestie first. I'm awesome and we're best friends. You won't lose me. Ever. NBFF. That's N for new.
Yeah, I got it.
Something that like Addie doesn't really know how to deal with. She already has her friend group, and this girl's just coming across as stalkery, especially when she shows up at Addie's house. She's just basically like, I'm Addie's new best friend without Addie's consent, and the whole family just kind of takes it in, and they're not able to pick up on that is what she's doing.
Addie girl, sorry. Good thing this baby has 5 more strings.
All around, like, I don't know how they don't know her daughter like that, but whatever. So Jolene gets an opportunity to be friends with Maris and Cranberry and other people throughout the school, but she doesn't take it because she's loyal to Addie. Aw, so she turns out to be sweeter and sweeter. The fact that Addie is pushing her to do something she doesn't want to do only makes her more distant, which is kind of crazy. Like, it makes Addie look worse and worse, especially how devoted she is. The mom is like, give her a chance. Like, sometimes it's important to let people in, and I feel like that's totally a good moral. Like, Addie does not need to be paranoid. Like, give people the benefit of the doubt until Ben comes in and is a little bit more pessimistic about the whole situation. And he's like, no, I know what it's like not to trust somebody. Don't trust her. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of interested now, whatever Ben's talking about. So Addie ends up going to this girl's school and actually trying to dig up dirt on her, and that's why she was dressed like that in the cold open. She's meeting all these people that knew Jolene, and she's getting a sign that maybe she wasn't so good. So Addie comes in and is like, yes, I knew it, we're taking her down. But despite the fact that she has all this information, Jolene still kind of treats her like a really good person. Next thing you know, it looks like Addie's just judging for no reason, and it comes out looking bad on her part. Jolene is very disappointed, and yeah, their friendship is over because of Addie. Oh no.
She's so perky and evil. I didn't think she had it in her to be sad.
Really be how friends are though, especially in this time. Like, I feel like it's important that you try to like get to know people, but some people have decided about not wanting to be somebody's friend and don't know how to tell them, so they just keep moving on with the whole situation. Yeah, that's middle school communication for you. He does take this too far while she frames Jolene as being a thief, so that's kind of why all this tension is going down and why everybody's kind of being disrespectful toward Addie. It's definitely not fair. Addie is the villain in this situation. It's nice to not have like a Jake related plot, but she tries to make up for it by proving that Jolene is actually allergic to hay. And if she was allergic to hay, she could not have had the bad reputation she had at her last school. So it's kind of interesting where we're talking about like judgment and like how people look at one another. Ben convinced her to do this whole thing just to get Jolene in trouble, and now she's trying to get her out of trouble. And there's a crazy plot twist. It turns out Addie comes home only to find Jolene in her room about to attack her.
Hello? Addie girl. We've been been waiting for you.
Yeah, she has a projection of every picture they were in together and tells her she doesn't know how to work in a team. And I don't know about this, Jolene. I don't think that's worth murdering someone. That's what it feels like is about to happen. Like, she's just sitting in this egg-shaped chair, which, by the way, totally normal for the 2000s. I remember having one of those myself. And she's just confronting Addie. And turns out Addie was right the whole time. So I guess the moral of the story is don't be optimistic. Don't give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's important to have a new best friend. Come on, guys. It's a positive episode in the sense that Addie learns a lesson about being a good friend, and I wish this was like a guest star from like Victoria Justice or like one of the other Nickelodeon people. Like, it would be if it were 5 years later, but just the fact that this is such an original grounded show is pretty unique. Like, I'm used to seeing all the Dan Schneider shows, now True Jackson and Naked Brothers Band, so this show is pretty unique in its own way, especially for the 2000s. This next episode's really cute, and I feel like it hadn't been done in a teen sitcom in a long time, or at least they're taking a bunch of ununique concepts and making a completely unique concept. I don't know. Point is, this episode's kind of impressive. So Addie's talking about how every moment with Jake is so important and it's the first time for everything, like the kiss, which by the way is at a family dinner table, of course. So fair for like these teenage kids. That's just how it goes. And yeah, and she's excited for her first dance. It's gonna be the 8th grade Bullfrog Ball, which is hosted by Mary Ferry. So she's the one putting this entire thing together, and Addie's just excited because she could finally get this dance with Jake. Great. Cool plot. We're excited and pumped, but uh-oh, there's a plot twist. Turns out they can't afford the dance. Yeah, the principal Brandywine is like, nope, we can't do it. Sorry, no dance. And Addie is not taking that lightly. They're like, okay, we have to find a way to fix this. And it's so funny because it really is canceled and everybody is like so down about it.
Forget it. I'm too depressed to do burn.
Addie even has like a nice little song about it. Listen to her.
My dreams are all soggy and I made a big mess. Don't wanna miss the moment of my first dance. I gotta believe that there's still a chance.
Oh, yeah, we feel bad. Ben gives Addie the idea of doing like a bachelor auction where you have like a bunch of guys step on stage and all the girls bid to take them to the dance, which I don't know how they would have enough money to have an entire dance just based on that alone. I guess it's just gonna go through. Yeah, Mary Ferry, unfortunately, is so depressed at the fact her dance did not work super well that she's been drinking so much juice at the juice place. And it's really funny to incorporate Ben in that way just to like see how she's like putting herself over the edge. Of course, it's sad to think Mary Ferry would be like so depressed about this situation, but it's totally in character, which I like. Addie does not expect Principal Brandywine to be so on board with this whole bachelor thing, and she's a little bit nervous about it because obviously she just wants the perfect date with Jake. That's the reason she does anything in this show. It's because of Jake. So this is kind of like important to her.
Add a few male teachers to the lineup. P. Brand wants in on some of that man action.
Ew.
Meanwhile, Mary Ferry and her boyfriend are even separated and she's just going through a rough time. But they can't do this whole bachelor auction without Mary Ferry, so Gina and Addie have to convince her to do it. At first, she's like, no, I don't want to do it. But then they're like, what if we give you a makeover? Oh yeah. So she gets fully made over, and it's that constant stereotype of like the hot girl takes off the glasses and looks good.
That's it. I did it. I'm a miracle worker.
They give her a makeover and she's suddenly a popular girl. She switches her interest and is more involved in just being attractive, which I don't know if your personality would shift that much that quickly, but okay. So her and her boyfriend are not getting back together because of this, and Mary Ferry is still hosting the auction. Everything seems like it's gonna go back to normal. We even get some old throwback characters like Randy Klein. The education teacher walks on the runway, what the heck? And Zach is taken by a girl that steals things, so he's kind of on the rough end of the stick. But when is he not? He's kind of screwed for most of this show. Anyway, so Mary Ferry ends up actually bidding $100 for Jake Bahari, which is against girl code, as Addie says. And yeah, I also think this is kind of shady of her. What the heck? So now Jake is going to the dance with Mary Ferry, and I don't think Addie deserved that. I feel like she's only done good, and I think that was taken too far. Addie has like a little flashback about Frankenstein's monster, like she created Mary Ferry, but no, that's just Mary Ferry being a bad person, honestly, Addie. Like, give it a break.
Eyes, my creature. All right!
So they end up having this full-on dance, and nobody's really happy with their dates. Mary Ferry and Jake Bahari don't really vibe at all, and Mary Ferry's ex dances with Gina. I don't know, nobody wins in this. So Addie did not get what she wants at all. Next thing you know, they both trick Mary Ferry and her ex to go into the storage closet to try to make up with each other. It doesn't really work at first, but then after a while, yeah, it does end up working. Honestly, it's not that long. And Addie finally gets her date with Jake by the end. Very sweet. I feel like this is one of those really good episodes. Like, there was an auction episode of Zoe 101, and it did not end up this positive. You know, this is just a sweet story about betrayal between friends and a school dance at the very helm of it. And yeah, I really like stories like that. Like, it's very creative and definitely fits in with the teenage atmosphere. Let alone being in 8th grade, like, this is what you're worried about at the time. So the next episode is called The Two-Timer, and I'm just so confused why Nickelodeon found such a niche in making doppelganger-related episodes. Like, why do we have to have episodes where people get confused with which person is who? Like, that is another episode that's been done here, and it was done on iCarly, it was done on so many different shows. Drake and Josh had Drew and Jerry, for God's sake. This is just, it's wacky. So it starts out with short B-side story, which is weird because usually the A-plot starts with it, and it's like Jake saying that he doesn't usually cry.
Yeah, sure, I mean, you know, whatever. Yeah, sure, you know, whatever. What kind of unfeeling robot are you?
And Zach is really upset about this and tries to find different scenarios to put him in throughout the episode that will make him cry. And he's really involved in this episode somehow while not being in the A-plot. It's hard to explain.
I mean, just look at all these layers. I mean, each one is like a tiny little miracle. I'm gonna go get another lasagna.
But we see a version of Addie that looks exactly like her kissing Randy Klein. And we are made to believe that she's cheating on Jake. Yeah, right off the bat, everybody accuses Addie of cheating. It seems like there's just no way she was at the library this weekend when everybody saw her at this cafe with Randy Klein. Turns out she is a complete two-timer, and I guess that's why it's the name of the episode. Mary Ferry is completely back to normal after the plot of the dance episode, like right before this, so I'm a little confused, but hey, I guess we're just gonna reset the episode. Everybody is like accusing Addie of somehow two-timing Jake and just having another life. Gina thinks it's just stress somehow, and I don't know why that would be the reason Addie is at two places at once, but okay. Zach hires a giant wrestler to come into school to attack Jake and get him to cry, which is kind of crazy. It only gets Zach to cry, which is that why is this even the plot? Addie's parents confront her about being out this weekend while saying she was at the library, and it's like, oh my gosh, so even her parents believe there's something going on. Addie just thinks she's nuts and is thinking she's at the wrong spot. I feel like this is very relatable to be like, oh my gosh, if everybody says I'm wrong about something, maybe I am.
I'm really bugging out. What's happened to me? Do I have a split personality? Will I be a menace to society? Am I crazy?
She has a little moment with her brother where he encourages her to get to the bottom of this. It's kind of nice when they talk to each other. It's very like Spencer and Carly, very sweet. But she is basically like, I have to go to the uptown version of the juice, which is exactly the juice, just like slightly dimmer, I guess. And she finds out that there is a doppelganger of her. Yep, her world gets turned upside down. I can't believe how uncanny this girl's resemblance is to her. Like, I do get that Addie has a reason for freaking out this time around, but I don't know why she's not going to Jake and talking to him about it. She talks to Randy Klein about it and is like, hey, like, why do we look alike? And Randy's like, oh, you're not over me, are you? And it's just so funny to make it seem like she isn't, because she's always been obsessed with Jake. It's like been such a known thing, and suddenly like she's being misunderstood for that even. It's just insane. So Addie kind of wants to develop her own personality outside of whoever this girl is so she'll never be mistaken again, and takes on the emo goth phase. Yeah, we all had those episodes of teen TV where you would turn to be emo or goth and just dye your hair black and try to fit into a group you're not a part of. Yeah, it was kind of Addie's deal, but it makes sense for being a rock star, I guess. You're kind of against the system anyway. She doesn't fit in with them, nor does she fit in with the cheerleaders, which is kind of crazy to me because she's always seemed to be into it before. I feel like Addie's been such a positive person. Why doesn't she want to do that?
Like, holy cow, I'm totally here.
And yeah, then she has like a hippie phase in this pottery class, which also doesn't feel like her.
I feel so in touch with nature now, you know? Like, this clay represents the earth and we're molding it.
So she's just confused all around. Randy Klein thinks this is another reason that she's trying to get with him, and it's like, oh my god, that is not it. Meanwhile, Jake has to stand up to Zach and be like, hey, dude, I do cry. Stop trying to hire people to hurt me. And that did not need to be said, but hey, it was. So Addie goes to this open mic night going on at Uptown Juice, only to see her doppelganger is also performing. And it's sad because it's like, clearly Addie's identity is in being a musician. Like, this is the one thing that separates her. So like, she's trying to cling on to something that's really important. That's actually really admirable until Addie's counterpart comes up with a guitar and she beats her up. Just kidding. It's a fantasy again. She doesn't actually come up with a guitar. She comes up with another instrument, and it's just like clear to Addie that everybody is different despite looking the same. And there's no way they didn't just pay Emma Roberts to do this double. They end up meeting each other at the end of the episode, and all is well, except for the fact that, like, weren't you just worried that Addie was fawning over Randy Klein? Like, nobody's gonna talk about it, and Jake's not gonna be so involved in this plot? I don't know how they do this without Jake being so involved, but at least he's just not like a jealous guy that it's his negative episode. It's more Addie's personal issues. But this was a funny one. I didn't expect to experience all this, and I didn't realize Nickelodeon did duplicate doppelganger episodes more than once. Like, as if when we were teenagers, this was a common issue, and we always got each other framed for going to different places. Like, why would that be a thing? It's just funny to think that that is like something that was really representative of us in the 2000s, so I'm just gonna leave it there. The next episode we have is the L-Bomb, and this is a very classic episode. So, to be short, Addie accidentally hears that Jake says, I love you. And yeah, it adds a lot of added pressure to the relationship. And it starts out with that kind of tension, with the opening act being them as old people being like, I don't know how I'm gonna grow up like this. And then it's like kind of shocking because you know Addie to like Jake Bahari. Is she just gonna not like him anymore? I don't understand. She talks about how in sync these guys are, which they are, and they're actually a really good couple. I like Jake and Addie a lot. They like really get along, they really hit it off, and it's very sweet. Like, I'm not surprised to hear he's saying I love you, but she is, because she's always like nervous something bad is going to happen, and we're talking about how something bad is gonna happen, so something bad inevitably happens. Surprise, surprise.
What if one person loves the other person, but the other person just likes him back? Can the liker learn to love the likey? Or should the liker just forget about love and let on to the likey that she only likes him? Or does this mean something is seriously wrong with their relationship and the likey and the liker are better off breaking up?
There's such an unnecessary B-plot in this episode where the mom is trying to win this carnival game that Ben is hosting, which is so random. Like, why is Ben hosting a carnival game? He just has to be the nearest occupation, like, that happens to be needed in the episode. Like, what is that plot? Yeah, the mom goes, like, overboard. She starts sneaking out of the house, like, coming home late, and it seems like she's having, like, a full-on affair, but it's just her trying to beat this one game at the county fair, okay? And meanwhile, we actually have a plot going on with Zach, where he and Ellie just broke up because of that other episode. Kind of funny, though.
Here's the candy heart Ellie gave me on Valentine's Day. Be mine. Be my snack!
And yeah, so he's just getting used to the single life once again, and it is the beginning of a really interesting love story for him. And I love how they keep building up toward it, and this is the first episode, but put a pin in that because we'll get back to it. So Addie and Jake are on the same page one moment, and then next thing you know, Addie is in like a bad mood around him, avoiding him. Like, everything about him is just stressing her out right now. She sings a song about the pressure of being in love and how they're just 13, as if this is like a huge commitment, but I guess at that age you like think it is. They have couples game nights with Mary Ferry, Gina, and this guy named Gianni. And it's revealed that there's a lot of tension between the two. Like, it is getting ridiculous at this point. So Jake finally confronts her at the fair, and she admits that she was not ready to hear that, and he's like, oh, I didn't even say that. And they're both like, oh, okay, we're not ready for love. Cool. And they go back on their merry way, happily ever after. I mean, this is a really sweet episode, because not only is it establishing, like, their relationship, but how much they trust each other. And even though Addie is kind of unruly sometimes, goes out of her way to not trust something, she'll still come back at the end of the day, and that's admirable. I think the couples scene is so funny.
It's me. Oh, Pretty in Pink.
I would have guessed the devil wears Prada.
Mary, Fairy, and her boyfriend are just dressed up in jogging outfits, and honestly, it's just so cringe. It's insane. But I just feel bad for Zach. That's the only moral of this story I've been thinking about. That's when we get to the next episode, the birthday. Addie has this fantasy of what she really wishes it would be like, and it's all the main cast members at her party, really expensive venue, nice clothes, happy birthday. She's taken in on a bed, which that's kind of crazy. And yeah, everybody has like a quick little dance routine. Very sweet. Turns out that's not what happened. She's in the back of a cop car. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. So yeah, she admits that she's gotten arrested for whatever she's done on her birthday, which is very exciting because I'm like, what the heck could she have possibly done? And I'd like to call this Addie's midlife crisis episode because she finds this list of things that she wished she could have done by now since she was 7, and it's like one of those time capsule type episodes where it's like you didn't realize you're not as far as you'd like to be. And Addie is like, wow, I never did any of the things I wrote down when I was 7. And it does a really unique thing where she's immediately like dismissive of this card, and she's like, yeah, I don't really have to worry about this, it was just younger me. And then she has a nightmare with her younger self attacking her. It's not a full-on attack, but yeah, it's a mental attack in a way. At first she like kind of ignores this, but then it gets real for her. Zach, Jake, and Gina are trying to talk sense into her for most of this episode, being like, isn't that kind of crazy for being a 7-year-old? Like, don't take it that seriously. So she doesn't take it that seriously. She just sits there with a guitar and sings about her past into her yearbook. Yeah, that's not taken seriously at all. She wakes up, and this is like a longer nightmare. The little girl actually takes her to see what her future would be like because of all this, and like not completing this list, which is kind of crazy. For some reason, younger Addie is the villain in this episode. That's what it feels like, at least. So she takes this letter a lot more seriously, putting her entire birthday on pause. So she's been planning this whole time to have a huge extravaganza, but she's so distracted by this midlife crisis and this list that she has to fill out that she has to do this ridiculous stuff. And it sucks that none of these are funny. Like, it's just her like in a tub of pudding or like riding horses, and then it's a bunch of slideshows of pictures with her photoshopped on. Guys, it's not that hard. They could have at least filmed some of these. Yeah, I just wish it was more funny because these are like starting to get a little bit boring to me. Like, I don't know why they just inserted any random thing for her to do. And then one of those things is go into a bouncy house. So this is the thing that wraps into the opening of this whole episode. She basically comes head to head with the supervisor of the bouncy house, this random mom, and they get in a fight over the fact that they won't let her in because she's too old. And I think this is fair enough. Like, she doesn't even tell this woman that like, hey, I just need to cross off something on my list. She's just bulldozing ahead. It's insane. And that's what prompts the police to come and take her away.
What would possess a young lady like you to destroy a bounce house?
I wanted to touch the roof so I wouldn't have to be my brother and Jessica Simpson's maid.
That old story.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of the crazier episodes. She has a really meaningful conversation with the cop at the end where he tells her about a letter he wrote to himself and how he never accomplished anything. And saying that, like, if anything, that's a good thing because 7-year-old you should not be dictating the 14-year-old you's life. That's a very good moral story. She comes home to a whole birthday planned for her, which thank God, because she was making it confusing by doing that and the other thing at the same time. I mean, she's just lucky that these guys care enough to put this on for her, especially since they were helping her do all of the things on her own list. So she made double work for every single person in her life. Wow, I never thought about it like that. Addie kind of stinks sometimes, guys. That's a really fun episode, and it's nice to like get a bunch of episodes one-on-one with Addie and either another character. In this case, it was herself, but in the next case, it's about Maris. So the episode is called The Guilt Trip, and it starts out with Addie in a Mrs. Bo Peep outfit, kind of crazy. Her and Maris, of all people, matching. And Maris is in a wheelchair, and we don't get to know why at all. This is probably the best cold opening in the show, because it is the furthest I expect from reality, because not only is like Maris injured, but she's also like smiling with Addie. Like, I can't imagine how the show is gonna go this way. And this is actually really important because in this episode, Zach and Gina are made fun of a lot because they're always hanging out with each other. So like, why aren't they dating? And that's such a stereotypical thing to happen to teenage relationships. Ugh, if I've ever seen it. It's like, oh, like, aren't you with that person because you're with them all the time? No, I'm not, okay? That's my doctor. No, just kidding. But yeah, it is kind of like real. So at first I'm like, maybe Zach doesn't like Gina, or does he? That's actually the bigger problem we're gonna get to later. But in the meantime, Addie and everybody in gym class are walking across the beam, which is not something I've seen happen before. I don't know why gym classes would do this. It does seem fun, but yeah, Maris ends up falling and getting injured. Oh no. Addie was like supposed to support her in this endeavor, but ends up thinking about her fingernails more than Maris, and so Maris ends up getting hurt. Yeah, next thing you know, everybody's like, why did you do that, Addie? Like, and they're kind of snippety toward her. Everybody's angry. Like, not even just Maris, like everybody in school. They do not trust her. Luckily, her friends still do, but they do admit that, like, even though she didn't mean to do it, she definitely meant it because she's always hated Maris. This wouldn't be super surprising if it was anybody else. So she sings a song about, like, how she doesn't think she meant to do it, but there is a chance she did. And that's a really good metaphor for, like, taking accountability for your actions. Like, even if you didn't directly, intentionally do something to somebody, having them be hurt is a big enough deal to kind of figure out where you play a part. Meanwhile, Ben is enrolled in this little sibling contest, same thing they did on Drake and Josh, and yeah, he's having to be this little kid's mentor, and it's kind of sweet the way they like work together. He brings them to juice, and it's funny because they end up working together to get him out of the house, which you don't expect. Turns out they just don't want to spend time together. So Ben inevitably teaches him how to get kicked out of the Singer's household. But anyway, so Addie is worried about her strength and tells Maris that she's sorry, but she doesn't take the apology. So it seems like the goal is not over for Addie at all. She's more worried about like how to make this up to her. She feels more guilty than before. Maris is just super cold to her, tries to avoid her at every point, and Addie accidentally knocks food onto her, so it gets worse and worse. This girl probably just doesn't want to be around Addie ever again, honestly. Like, Addie gets her flowers and bees start attacking her. Like, what is the deal with even that? So later, there's a competition for Beauty and the Brains, this promoting literacy event, and I can't believe they did this on this. Addie says that the only way she feels like she can make up for this is if she helps Maris actually win this contest. And Maris thinks that because she's injured, maybe she could use that as a way to win. And that's where her and Addie disagree. Like, Addie thinks like, hey, you could win just because you're strong and beautiful. And this girl's like, no, I'm gonna cheat. So now Addie is like helping her onto the stage, taking us back to the cold open where she was dressed up as Bo Peep. And yeah, so the moral is Addie should fully go through with this or let her friend fall once again. Which, I remind you, she is not her friend. Maris fell earlier and Addie didn't regret it. But sure, even though she's trying to get an apology, it doesn't seem like she's afraid to make her stand out. So Addie pushes her in a well to prove that she didn't need the wheelchair. Kinda crazy, if you ask me. There's like a really long pause, and I'm like, wow, Addie's the worst person I've ever seen. And that's like on purpose. Like, I feel like they're just building it to make us laugh, because she does come out, and she looks horrible. Everybody agrees with Addie, and this whole public outburst is justified. Thank God. And then at the end of the episode, we have Zach and Gina have like a quick little convo, and we see that Zach smiles at her. Normally, this would mean nothing. There's no dialogue that alludes to it, but it's very clear that the runners of the show wanted us to see that Zach has a crush on Gina. And it's really fun the way they introduced it very subtly, and you'll see as we go on, continues up until the end of the series. Kind of crazy, because there's only like 3 or 4 more episodes left, but bear with me. So the next episode of season 3 we have is called The Quest. And this one is interesting. It's like a job fair related episode. Like, we see that Addie is still working with her dad at the bowling alley, but she's imagining what her future would be like. Would she be like famous like a fashion model, or like living in New York? And then we get cut to the present day where she and Gina are causing a mess in some random kitchen. Oh my god. These girls are 14 and they're already trying to enlist them in the workforce. Yeah, it's a part of their school assignment where they start to interview kids and figure out what their job should be and then place them in that job, which is kind of interesting. It's like that whole aptitude episode. They did it on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, where each of them got an assignment to answer personal questions that would like kind of allude to what they might like in job field. And that's kind of what happens here, except for in the Zach and Cody episode, they actually live out their lives like they would in their test. And it's really cool how like that unfolds. And Unfabulous approaches it pretty differently. Basically, the teacher interviews them personally, one-on-one, asking them the same questions. They're just giving such wacky answers. It's so funny to see all the main characters just one by one talking and answering these questions. Jake is like so silly sometimes. I never even noticed.
Design cars. I'd build a sweet V12 500 horsepower road rocket. Slap some wings on that baby, and I bet it'd fly.
I feel like Mary Fairy is in this show way more than Maris and Cranberry, so I don't know why they're in the opening title sequence, but hey, I'm not gonna be bitter about it. So yeah, the teacher interviews them all, and I don't know why they trust this teacher to be the one to say what these guys are gonna end up doing, but it becomes pretty interesting. It's like each of them trying their jobs for a day. Somehow Gina and Addie got on the same team.
I'd like to present to you all the new fall colors. Thank you.
And Mary Fairy is given a barber. Yeah, she's the smartest math person. She just was able to tell the teacher almost the solutions of equations to the universe, and she was assigned barber. I don't know what's wrong with that teacher. Jake is put on to be an architect, which he doesn't like at first, but gets super into, and good for him. That's good to know. And Zach is put in juice, that little juice store right outside school. I can't believe that they put him to do that. That would just hurt my confidence, honestly, because it's kind of crazy. So Addie sings about what it's gonna be like being on the job, and after the first day, they're pretty confident, but then they start texting on the job. And then it becomes an exact replica of like the Drake and Josh episode where they both failed at packaging sushi. Yeah, Gina and Addie are packaging cosmetics, and it goes crazy. So they get fired from their jobs. Teacher is not happy. I wouldn't be either, teacher. Maybe it's the skills of the person interviewing them. I don't know why this guy doesn't get away with it. Oh, and Zach becomes way too good at his job. Yeah, so he starts off a kerfuffle with Ben, which is kind of funny. Like, Ben and his coworker, who have subplots sometimes, start to get jealous of how good Zach is at this job. And yeah, I mean, I would just be honored. Like, it's cool to have a coworker that is passionate about it and is enjoying it. Meanwhile, Addie gets assigned to a forest ranger, which why in the world was this chosen to be the assignment? I don't know where they live. I feel like they've said it, but I don't think it's within the forests. All around, everybody has a different experience with their job, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, this episode also starts this on again, off again relationship between Gina and this Italian boy. I'm just gonna spoil it for you because you're watching this video. His name's Gianni, and he's from Italy. And then it turns out that was a lie. His name is Johnny. He's from Italy. And then it turns out that's a lie. He doesn't speak Italian. And then it turns out his name's not even Johnny. Like, it's just lie after lie. And it's so funny because he even wears a t-shirt that says everybody loves an Italian boy. And it's like, what is going on in this universe?
What are you doing? Speaking Italian. Babidi-boopy.
That is like the primary effect. So in the end, Addie has this whole speech about how she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, and that's okay. And I think so too. I just am confused why the curriculum even had the teacher do this to begin with. Zach doesn't end up taking the job at Juice, which is kind of sad because I feel like he was good at it, and like if he liked it, why not? But yeah, I guess that's the solve of the episode for Ben, who barely won. And Addie just goes back to working at her dad's shop. Yeah, it didn't accomplish too much. It's just the moral of the story is that you can't know what you want to do when you're 14. And you know what? That's fair. This next episode I've actually covered before, but I'm gonna talk about it again because it's interesting. It's called The Talent Show, and this one is infamous because of its featuring cast member Miranda Cosgrove. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I was born in Romania, like Dracula.
Okay, so we got a nice little talent show episode. Everybody comes in with a different skill. Addie's kind of made fun of because in the beginning, she shows stuff she did past years, and it's ridiculous. I can't believe she even tried to do all this stuff. That takes a lot of guts to do. And for some reason, this is the only episode with a completely different opening number. What? Yeah, so the usual Unfabulous with scrapbook art and, you know, cute 2D characters is just taken out for this. And it's clips of the show over some music, and it's just completely foreign to me. So Addie's trying to be involved in the talent show. She's gonna do it with Jake until Jake's friend, Cosmina, apparently is doing a magic act and her partner has dropped out. So yeah, Addie and Jake have just started dating, so Addie's not trying to seem super jealous, especially like she has in the past episodes, like very jealous. She's just playing it cool. She's like, no, this is no big deal. Meanwhile, the dad is actually shooting a commercial for their bowling alley, and he just gets way too into it and becomes like a complete diva, with the entire family not knowing how to talk to him. And then, of course, we got Addie again. So Addie sneaks in dressed as a janitor to spy on Jake while he's doing his practice run with Cosmina. And if that's not jealousy, I don't know what is. Yeah, she has reason to be jealous. She's paying attention. I would be nervous too if my boyfriend was talking to some girl.
Why is he mopping the carpet?
And yeah, Miranda Cosgrove makes her huge appearance. She twirls out of the magic box, and yeah, it's really sweet, and it's a cool act. But you know what? Spoiler alert, is this act even gonna happen? So yeah, Addie's super jealous. Everybody is like, why are you jealous? But I would be jealous too, especially since he's standing next to her. Addie has like freak out fantasy in meeting her, and I don't know why they like hate her so much. Like, I feel like Miranda didn't do anything wrong. So this is where Addie goes a little too far. She dresses up in Cosmina's outfit, tricks her into sticking with Zach in the gym, and Zach locks her in a closet, leaving her there the whole night. Oh my god, that's so horrible. Yeah, so Addie went a little too far this time. She steps in for Cosmina, but surprise, surprise, it's not even Jake. Oh my gosh, it's the wrestler dude from the episode before. That's so funny. So yeah, Jake couldn't do the show, and that's the karma of the episode. Addie is just being twirled around, and the joke is on both of them. Like, whose talent is this anymore? Yeah, Gina goes on stage with Nancy and ends up being the one to win, which is so funny because that's the plot that Addie started with, and then she just ended up ditching it for Jake. In the end, they have like a nice little heart-to-heart talk and realize that jealousy isn't too bad, and they watch the dad's commercial, and it's cringe.
Hi, I'm Jeff Singer, owner of Singer's Sporting Goods. My dad started this shop when I was 3, and I continued the tradition. Now, my whole family works side by side with me in the store. Sue, Ben, Addie, Nancy, say hello.
Yeah, it's all around really funny episode. Nothing is more interesting than a talent show episode. And we're just coming so close to the end of the show. It's almost like kind of sad. Like, there's only one more episode and that's it. And this episode is crazy. It's called The Test. And for me, Addie just went too far with the talent show episode. This one, Ben goes too far, and it's kind of crazy.
The competition can be fierce. Sometimes the stakes are small. Ben?
Addie.
So Addie and Ben have this normal sibling rivalry, very classic of them. He is selling food outside their gym. Everybody loves these smoothies, and it's like such a smart opportunity to earn money, but I don't know, it's not that impressive, Ben, I'm sorry.
I call her La Juiceracha.
So Addie's getting really fed up. This feels like it's just an opportunity to bother her, and she's right. I feel like there's not a lot of Ben and Addie episodes, so this is very refreshing, especially being the last normal episode before the entire series is over. You gotta give it credit. Addie gets in trouble with her parents, everybody, all because of her brother, and it's very convenient because it just keeps happening. So eventually she tells everybody through the school newspaper that Mary Ferry helped her with that her brother Ben's juice stand is actually unsanitary and straightforward, has bugs in it. Yeah, like she plays footage that is just so disgusting.
Portable food carts are public health enemy #1.
This is Addie Singer, and that's the way the bullfrog croaks.
Meanwhile, Zach is trying to go to the nurse because he has a stomach ache this whole episode. Why? The nurse tells him because he hasn't expressed feelings for someone. Yeah, so this Gina thing starts to blow up a little bit bigger than he intends. So he's like, okay, I need to tell him. But he doesn't. He ends up telling Jake, which is actually kind of sweet that they have that little bro moment. They can confide in each other about how he feels, and he finally gets somebody on his side. And Jake is like, that's very sweet. And we get to see a side of Jake. It's actually really awesome.
Johnny.
Meanwhile, Addie feels horrible for getting her brother kicked off campus, and she realizes there's a deeper problem. He failed a really important test to get into college. Aww. So she tries to do the little sister thing and help him study all night. She signs him up for a new SATs to be taken the next day, which I don't think you can legally sign someone else up for the SATs, let alone the fact it's 3 months in advance. I can't believe they even think that's supposed to happen. So yeah, then we get back to the live TV broadcast that they introduced at the beginning of the episode, and it's just cool that they're having a live video feed in their school. It's the first step into technology that I wasn't expecting. Gina and Zach are involved, and Zach is told he has to improvise because Addie is asleep from helping her brother all night. And in this moment, Zach accidentally reveals that he loves Gina and she shouldn't be with Gianni or Johnny or whatever Italian that guy was.
He was from Jersey. Can you believe it? He was just saying things he got off a can of ravioli.
And yeah, nobody picks up on this being a confession of love, which is kind of interesting to me. It's very clear. Addie's so focused on beating Ben in this episode, she doesn't realize what was just said. And you know what's fun? We get to find out in the next episode, the series finale. We've been waiting 38 episodes for the grand ending, as if Addie Singer was the next Avatar and we need the final battle to go down. It's really cool though, because it ends on a field trip, the same way Ned's Declassified would later end. And this one is actually kind of even crazier. It's called The Best Field Trip Ever, the second and final 2-part episode in this entire series, and this one is more dramatic than I think we've ever seen the show to be. Some ways good, some ways not so good, but I'll let you guys decide as we jump into it. We start out as the normal episodes start out, with a flash into the future to tease what's about to come, and it's Addie on a boat with a bunch of people about to sink. Oh my gosh. It is so dramatic right off the bat, and I am terrified. We learn that the big 8th grade field trip is coming up, and they're actually allowing the kids to pitch their ideas, which is kind of a cool concept. I wish I was able to choose what the field trip would be for our senior year, but I guess that would require a lot more research and work. But that's what Addie's doing in this episode. She's trying to prove that this cruise is the perfect thing to do, and honestly, seeing the cold open, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. The real situation going on with this entire special is Zach and Gina. Yeah, 2 of the side main characters are the focus of this last special. But they did a good job of slowly revealing to us that Zach had a crush on Gina, and him realizing it, him admitting it. This actually takes us right into the brink of it. Before this whole field trip thing is figured out, we establish everybody's goals, which is Zach telling Gina he likes her, and Addie actually re-watches the newscast from a couple days ago only to realize herself that Zach has this crush, and she is the most upset about it. Actually, she is furious. She calls Jake, and this is their first big argument, I would argue. This is actually life-changing. And Jake is not on Addie's side throughout this because he's caring for Zach, which he actually needs in this moment. He's very nervous about it. And this actually happens right before everybody embarks on the cruise, so there's a lot of drama waiting to happen. Gina's already dealing with her own issues with her ex Gianni, who's been coming up these past couple episodes randomly, pretending to be Italian but not being Italian. There's just so much he lies about, honestly.
He's a pathological liar. His name isn't even Johnny. It's Hank.
So Zach and Jake are keeping a close eye on Gina to find the perfect time for Zach to tell her he likes her. But even worse, Addie makes this her full job to avoid this from happening because she's worried about the anxieties of what it would be like of her best friends coming together. Of course, Jake is able to talk her down a couple times, but really she doesn't even listen to him. It becomes a huge issue for the couple. I'm not gonna dive too deep into the B plot, but let's just say it's a huge deal because the girl Addie's brother has a crush on son, Ben, by the way, is going away to college and he's going to be very lonely. So he ends up sneaking into Juice to find proof that she fudged her college application, and in the process of this, accidentally throws her journal into the toaster, burning down Juice for good. Oh my gosh.
My notebook?
Looks like it fell into the toaster. Whoosh! Deep fried smoothies.
Yeah, so this ends up becoming a huge deal because they lose the entire Juice area, and this girl cannot go to college because she is going to spend the rest of her life paying it off. And honestly, it's kind of a hard thing to come back from. I don't know how just being honest about this situation will clear Ben's name, but he tries to do the better thing and help her raise the money. And at first it sounds like he's like just doing really nice things, and it's like clearly his fault that she's even in this position. Meanwhile, Addie is not enjoying the trip because she's doing whatever it takes to keep Zach and Gina from being together, even stowing away Gianni on the ship. Oh my gosh. Later we get to a rock climbing wall, which is so scary to do on a cruise ship. I don't know why you would do that. And Zach is using this as his opportunity to tell Gina he likes her. But of course, Addie has to interfere with this too, causing it to completely go bad. So Jake ends up getting Gianni kicked off the boat. Oh my god, this poor guy. So Addie and Jake are having a huge argument, and they find out that they're actually going to be going through a dangerous storm.
Looks like a storm on the horizon. Really big storm.
So they need Addie to decide if it's worth going through, but she's so wrapped up in all this Zach and Gina drama, she barely takes it seriously, which actually is kind of stressful when you think about it. So later they're having a karaoke night and yet another chance for Gina and Zach to connect, but that's when the ship starts to shake a little bit. Uh-oh.
Well, we might have time for one more karaoke singer before the boat sinks.
So this is probably the biggest mistake Addie's made yet.
Addie Singer! You took us out during storm season!
Like literally all of her grade is going to die on this ship, which I didn't even know middle schoolers can go on a cruise alone. To me, that's kind of crazy. But you know, this whole thing was set up since the beginning, and Addie is just so irresponsible that it got so haywire. And unfortunately, out of her control, Zach has to admit to Gina that he does have feelings for her because there's literally no better time. This is actually blowing up in Jake and Addie's face, but hey, it definitely needed to happen. What worse time for Gianni to come back literally again? Like, I feel so bad for Zach. Addie has to actually come to terms that maybe what she's doing is not right, you know? Like, they finally move past the storm and everything feels resolved, and Zach is finally able to tell Gina, resulting in a kiss. Aw, okay, so Addie's getting over this fact, and Addie has one last monologue as they're exiting the ship. Oh, but I didn't tell you, there was like a really cool part where they actually have a musical number about the best field trip ever, which is so funny because of course they waited till like the very end of the series to do something this extravagant. But hey, I like it, you know, I feel like this is definitely hype. And everybody getting to sing, it's just such good vibes the entire time. It definitely reminds me a lot of Sweet Life on Deck because of the cruise. I don't know why, it just keeps making me think of it. But yeah, seeing all the characters pushed to their absolute limit for the finale is definitely worthwhile. Like having Zach not be able to tell Gina until the most dangerous moment that he has feelings for her, like that's really good. And I guess in the B plot, Ben gets forgiven for ruining the juice bar, and both of them are able to afford and bringing it back. So that's actually kind of good. I was surprised they even got to resolve that plot. That's kind of a big deal. All around, like seeing everybody on a cruise ship one last time, like there was a lot of fun moments throughout this whole special that just made me look back on the series and actually miss that it's about to be over. Aside from the occasional boring episodes or generic plot lines, maybe even some of like non-special things that go on, I feel like Unfabulous is definitely one of the more positive Nickelodeon shows, and I did feel like they were worth all the genuine moments that came out of it. And Addie's like struggle to be a good person, to be fabulous, it's pretty admirable to see her try so hard. The through lines toward the end, becoming more serial than episodic, were also pretty interesting to hook me in till the end of the show. And I'm glad this didn't really go on past 3 seasons. I feel like it had the perfect amount for its run, and not seeing Gina and Zach fully get together is like a great end to the show. With Addie and Jake being together, that's totally totally awesome because of the first season and how long they built that up. So I guess that's good too. And just having her be the one to plan this whole cruise, like, it's very cool the way it ended up. And of course, we can't forget the ending musical number. I feel like that is the cherry on top of what makes this show so good. It reminds me of the Man Golf episode back in season 2. All around, like, I'm gonna miss this show. Thank you guys so much for watching Unfabulous with me. I can't believe we got through 39 episodes. It feels like really quick, but I had fun and I hope you guys did too. Thank you guys so much for watching Johnny 2000, and for more 2000s TV, movies, music, and so much more, check out Johnny 2000. Have a great day.
At the end of the day, being fabulous is really all about the effect you have on the people you know. And right now, I feel pretty fabulous.